Hi, good morning, good evening, everyone.
Hey everyone.
Hello.
Welcome, everyone, at the Hyperledger Cacti Maintainers meeting. Please abide by the antitrust policy notice that we have on the screen, and also the Hyperledger Code of Conduct, which you can find linked to on any of the agenda documents that we have right here. And with that said, sorry about not having an up-to-date agenda document. I forgot to create it for today's meeting. But we can just jump right in with the ad hoc topics. I personally don't have anything to discuss for today, so I'll just pass it on to everybody else.
I can give a status update. So I have been working on the Open API definition and have generated, got the tooling working to generate a Connect RPC interface. I have some questions on the interface. So what is I know I was trying to get the Open API spec to show up on my GitHub IO. So once I get that done, I can send it to Rama, because that's a nice way to look at it. Barring that, I know maybe like the Open API, or I can just send you the proto definitions. I was having a little bit of trouble getting the view API, so I ended up going to using mostly what was on the RFCs, and then I guess I'll discover how well that maps to the implementation.
Yeah. Sorry, can you repeat that? What's precisely are you trouble mapping to?
So the view definition for the API,
Right.
I was just using what was on the RFC, which is the view. State proof is the combination of the view address and the verification protocols.
Yeah. Specifically, there are two kinds of. Okay, there's a common view we've defined. Let me just go to the website.
But that's just where I am on my status right now.
Sure. So just give me a second. I'm just looking at the right structures to point you to. Yeah, if you go to for the definition of the views, I think you'll find them in if you go inside Beaver Common Protos Common State.proto. That's where you find the definition.
Mm-hmm.
Should I share my screen? I think it's better if I share. Yeah, you see this, right? So it's in the inside the So if you go inside Beaver Common
Yeah,
Pro
yeah.
Tools, that's where, yeah.
But the bytes data.
Yeah.
So there's some flexibility there on, I guess, depending on what DLT you're talking to.
Correct. So that's this is a way of creating structures that we adopted from Fabric. We go to, because both Sandeep and I, we are familiar with Hyperledger Fabric because
Yeah.
we've been programming that, and the way you make structures be extensible is by not specifying a particular, not attaching a particular type to a field, but rather keeping it open. So yeah, data here is just a blob, and how you interpret the blob is really it depends on the context. Typically, you would have some information inside meta which would help you uh, deserialize this data, and that's kind of what we're doing here. So yeah, so you have the view and the data, and I think there are specific right. I think the view is the view is common, right? It's only the payload that is that differs between across different DLTs, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that's flexible. I'm just trying to figure out how to map that flexibility into a REST API.
Interop payload is common, but views are different actually. Views contains proofs and signatures.
Ah, right. Let me go back. So you have, if you go inside Fabric, Protos Fabric, yeah. Okay, there's a Fabric view, and
I mean, there's one more a view that is common that contains these ledger specific views, fabric view or Corda view. That's in the common.
okay. So I've just what I just showed you. There's a Fabric view, and this is the Corda view, which is yeah, just named as view data, but you know, if it's inside the Corda namespace, so that way you can distinguish it from Fabric. Maybe we ought to rename it. But what Sandeep is referring to is what I'd shown you the first file. This is the view. So this data is basically a serialized blob of either a Fabric view or the Corda view data, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I think you'll find in the when you look inside the RFCs. Let me see. Let me go to the RFCs. Should be in formats, no? Yeah, this just talks about it's the same message that we showed earlier. It just shows you what each of the fields mean and how you construct them. Did you check this out, Jennifer?
Yes, what wasn't that file here? Let me show. I can send the link because I was wondering if using the view address that was defined was perhaps more generic. But
Yes. Actually, let me send you something. Let me show you something else. Yeah, it's a good thing you raised that point. So I've mentioned this effort, right? This Secure Asset Transfer Protocol. So this is a working group under the IETF, and we are trying to draft RFCs that can be then used as specs for everybody, whoever wants to implement a protocol to move assets. Right now, we're only focusing on the asset transfer mode. We are not so this sort of moves at a snail's pace compared to how people move in the business world. But so yeah, once we finish asset transfer, maybe the scope will get expanded for data sharing and for asset exchange and so on. So right now there are 3 documents here related to asset transfer. But what we had done was, if you see, there are 2 documents here. And you can see it's my name here because I'm the first author on these. If you go to this particular draft, this document was meant to be this is a candidate draft. So right now it's not, it's just there for public viewing, and maybe later when the working group's charter gets expanded, people are going to discuss this. but this talks about view addresses and views. It begins with the motivation, stuff that we have discussed in the past when I showed you the presentation. Here, if you go down, you'll find a more an attempt to have a more generic uh, specification for what a view address should be and what a view should be. And this is, yeah, we tried
Yes,
to write
that's
with
what I was using there.
implementation.
Location frame. Except that's not actually, I couldn't find, or rather, so is this definition sort of leading the code base?
So your
Or
voice
is
is a bit muffled. Can you repeat that, please?
has this definition been implemented, or is it just
It's no, not this exactly. I think we changed this a little bit to make it more generic. We
Mhm.
wanted to at some point bring this back into Cacti and implement it, but we never got the time. So now is as good a time as any. So if you're implementing it, let's just brainstorm over this. And if by the way, if we need to change this, we are free to go and update this particular draft at any time. You can also join on this effort. And what is the scheme we have here?
Yeah, this was the schema that I put in, and I was trying to map
Okay.
it.
Right. I think what we did probably after we wrote this, we probably went and changed this RFC again. I'm not sure if this is exactly what is implemented though. This is the spec. Sometimes the specs are idealized, like this is what we want to implement, whereas in the code we have done something more simplified. So yeah, when you do it, let's make sure that we try to cover all the bases that we can think of. Of course, we'll never cover all the possible bases, but it's later on if we have to change something, we will. But at least for now, let us try to anticipate all the attributes we will need to have in a view address and then cover them. So I think you can accept this for now.
Sounds good.
And yeah, cool. Okay, you had any other specific questions on this? Or
No, that was my main thing, because I think there's at least one example that might implement this.
sure, yeah,
So
there are. I think yeah, the view address is definitely used. I mean, if you look at the data sharing test that we have configured, they the test involves constructing a view address within one network, sending it to the other network, then generating the view, and then coming back with it. And you can encrypt that as well. So there's that aspect to it as well. So yeah, you will end up using this. So the view as the view address will be you will need this to implement the methods we were discussing last week, the generate view, verify view, generate proof, etc. So yeah, that'll be part of it. Yesterday you were talking about events, so I just wanted to just briefly mention that. So I think I'm going back to the old repository from where we had copied the code into Cacti. This is the Weaver lab repository, and if you go to this particular, let me just paste this link on Discord.
Okay.
Yeah, just go take a look at this. Yeah, take a look at this. So this shows you that we did implement an event pub-sub mechanism within the Weaver module. So if you're interested in that, actually, I think we should have probably covered it earlier, but we sort of thought we could I think go to this later after we've implemented all uh, uh, the features that are currently listed in the COPM. But I think event pop-up should also be supported in the COPM, and because we already have such a feature here, maybe we might as well think about it. So what we're doing here is we if you look at this, I showed you a similar diagram for the data sharing protocol, right? Where you send a query way and you come back with an answer, right? So this is very similar in that, but the only difference is instead of explicitly sending a request and getting a response, you have one side which is subscribing for events to another side, and then whenever some event occurs that matches a particular subscription, then that event gets published and disseminated to whoever subscribed for it. So you have a subscription flow defined here, and then you have a publication flow defined here. So I think then we should probably we will probably add a couple of more functions to the COPM, which is uh, subscribe for event and publish event. At a high level, these are two I can think of. Maybe we can have more fine-grained functions there, but I think these two functions also we can have. The way we've been thinking about this is more though in terms of that events are like syntactic sugar. Strictly speaking, uh, they don't provide more power than your data sharing, your view address, view response protocol does. But from a developer's perspective, from an engineering perspective, it's a super useful feature. So I think maybe we can add that to the COPM, and of course do it on a best effort basis. So yeah, just take a look at this, and we have some code within. We go back to Cacti. We have some code within the Fabric SDK. So this is the library that any Fabric client will use to subscribe to events. You can see there's an events manager here. This was a feature that we were trying to build a couple of years ago using another mentee. It was done partly. We never really completed it, but this is the goal of this was something very similar to what you had sketched out yesterday, which is this was not for transfer specifically. It was for asset exchange. So in asset exchange, we have that we are doing it via the HTLC flow. Did you talk about the HTLC flow before? Or
no, but I can imagine what it is. It's a time limited contract. Is that right?
yeah, it's a hash time lock contract. So you lock an asset on in one network with a hash. Then you lock you looking at the hash, you lock an asset on another network, and then because the secret to corresponding to the hash is only known to the first party, then when that party claims, the other party also gets to know the secret, and then it can claim on the other side. So you have this four-step process: a lock, and then a claim and a claim. And because of depending on the strength of the hash function, this is quite secure, and it as long as you have the right timeout specified, you can almost guarantee atomicity. So, but the thing is to know that somebody has logged an asset somewhere. How do you know that? So the the right way to engineer this in our view was through events, and I think you also had the same intuition yesterday in the diagram that you showed. So that's kind of what we have here. We have code to subscribe to events, and then I'm not sure if it so what we wanted to do was you have you just need one manual action. That's the first asset gets logged. That is manual because somebody has to start the whole process. But once they do that, then using an event subscription and the publication, the second lock happens automatically, and then the claim and the claims happen automatically. So that's and yeah, if you want to extend the scenario, you need multiple parties. You need to wait for multiple such events. You can sort of generalize this protocol. You just have to wait for enough events that satisfy your policy criteria, and then you go on to the next step. So this kind of what we have some very very basic code here for. Sandeep, do you remember anything else about this code?
Sorry, what?
Do you remember anything else about this code? I think did it do we have everything here to fulfill the HDLC protocol, or did we need anything more?
Well,
I'm not sure. Um,
Okay, maybe we'll have to, let's just take this offline. We'll have to
yeah,
maybe look at the code. But
yeah.
yeah, if you just take a look at the code, it's this is the way of getting the events off chain, so that you can wire your apps appropriately. You know, you have an app that's just waiting for an event, and it can perform the right action as soon as it gets the event.
Yeah,
So,
I brought this up partly because there's a really, like, when I was looking into frameworks, there's a nice open API equivalent
yeah,
for doing asynchronous, for describing asynchronous APIs called async API, and it has all of the generators that OpenAPI has now. So you can just describe your events and then generate the framework. So if this is incomplete, maybe that's a good thing to look into.
yeah. I would say yeah, present your design. I think it sounds good to me. But yeah, we'll go with the details, and yeah, take a look at this code as well.
Okay.
Also, for this particular code, do try out the, maybe you already tried out the asset exchange steps, where we I think that's one of the flows and the actions.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I wanted to point you to. So there's events, and there's yep, basically event related code. So, and also for the specs, you can find them here. Uh, yeah, just take a look at the recording, and I think also, okay, I already dropped the link, so you can get it from there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's all I had, I guess. Uh, okay, so I think if you're done with the mentorship project, Peter, at some point we want to go and review the scorecard, right? And figure out how to fix, how to get our scores up.
Yeah, I have it on my task list. It's just been very busy as usual,
Right.
but
Right.
it's not forgotten, just delayed.
Yeah, and we did below 6 again. We are at 5.8.
Sorry, what was that?
We dipped below 6 again. We're at 5.8. So we achieved a peak of 6.8 once, but now we are at 5.8.
Oh, that's annoying. Is it?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because they changed the criteria or we did something that lowered it.
Uh, Probably the latter, I think. Let me see.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to work on that too.
Yeah. Yeah, and we are going to be. Is it something we're discussing in the context of badging uh, and scores? You know, me, Tracy, David. So anyway, yeah, we can just pick particular topics and try to work on them in different maintenance files.
Yeah, there should be some low-hanging fruit in there that we can squash quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other topics from anyone?
No, I'm good.
Not for me.
no.
Izaru?
Nothing from me.
Alright. And thanks everyone for joining, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You
Bye.